Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. Today I'm going to talk about hip hop. About a week or two ago, I came across an article about Cuba, and it was about how the United States government actually attempted to use hip hop to overthrow the Cuban government. And when I read that article, it just made me think about the power of music and the power of hip hop in particular. It made me think about the fact that I don't even think that African Americans realize the power of hip hop, the power of music, and the power of culture. We really don't, because, the corporations realize the power of music. They realize the power of hip hop. That's why they use hip hop artists to sell products. They tried to get hip hop artists to endorse certain products because they know that if it's popular with these rap artists, then many times our young people will purchase the products that they see their favorite rap artists purchase. Rap artists are trendsetters. And, just as hip hop was being used to try to overthrow the Cuban government, it appears that hip hop is being used as a weapon against black people. And it's being used in that way in a couple of different aspects. The first way that it's used as a weapon against black people is by means of propaganda. It perpetuates the narrative that black people are thugs and criminals, that we're dangerous, that we're drug dealers, that we're gangsters. That's the image that this popular hip hop music puts out there. You would think that every black man is dealing drugs if you were to just judge black people based on hip hop music. So by creating this negative environment that reinforces stereotypes, hip hop is a weapon against us. When a police officer encounters young black men, those stereotypes are reinforced by this music. It's not only about, the music playing on the radio. It's about the images that people see when they watch the rap videos or when they watch movies that embrace this type of culture, this image of the black man as a criminal, as someone that's violent, as a troublemaker, as a burden on society. So they don't see us as like fellow human beings. They see us as less human. It becomes a form of dehumanization. This perpetuation of this negative stereotype. So when you have cases like the Michael Brown case or Trayvon Martin, when you are programmed with the stereotypes that black people are dangerous, then you're more likely to agree with the actions of police officers who shoot down our young black men in the streets. When they come up with excuses about the black man allegedly charging them, even if those excuses make no logical sense, because you've been programmed to view black men as dangerous, you buy into it. So in a sense, it paves the way for our destruction as a people. It paves the way to justify the violence that's being perpetrated against black people. Another way that this art form is basically being used against black people is it makes black people embrace the stereotypes, and it encourages lifestyle self-destruction. That's what we have in today's rap music. There was a time when hip hop had diversity. You had different styles of hip hop. You had different types of hip hop. You had conscious hip hop, where it was about knowledge itself. You had hip hop that was just fun oriented, about partying. And you also had gangster hip hop. So you had a variety. But today, the dominant form of popular hip hop promotes drug use, promotes alcoholism, promotes violence, promotes drug dealing, promotes pimping, promotes the misogynistic views of women, promotes the objectification of our women. It promotes negativity all around. And, a while ago I read an article about how a lot of the hip hop labels or the music companies, they have financial ties to the prison industry, the private prison industry, which profits off of the incarceration of black people. So you have this music that promotes a lifestyle that ends up with people being locked up in America's prisons, either locked up or dead. An art form that celebrates violence. An art form that promotes the idea that somehow being a drug dealer is a badge of honor. Promotes the idea that being a drug dealer is like a prerequisite to becoming a successful rap artist or having street credibility. All of these ideas, promote the mass incarceration that we see in our community, promote the violence that we see in our community. And let me be clear, I don't think that all those problems are caused because of hip hop. We had problems of drugs and violence before hip hop. But let's be clear, hip hop does not help the situation. When people are constantly fed a diet of self-destruction, a diet of violence, of drug dealing, of pimping, and all that stuff, that has to have an impact on the minds of the people. In that example of Cuba, the U.S. government's attempt to overthrow Cuba through music tells you that they realized, the United States government realizes the power of music. The corporations realize the power of music. They realize that music can influence people. And it's time for us to realize the power of this music. No longer do we control hip-hop culture. It's controlled by these corporations that don't view hip-hop as some natural or organic culture. They view it as a product to be sold. And that brings me to the second part of this video. And that's this. I was watching this interview today with this young rap artist. And, she was just talking about hip hop and about how basically, even though African Americans created the art form, nowadays the art form has been taken over by others. Others who are less talented, but because of the pigment of their skin, they are given all kinds of accolades. They're given all kinds of awards, even though there are plenty of African American artists who are far superior, who are better in terms of the quality of their music, the message of their music, and just the nature of their music. They're way better than some of these lesser artists who receive the acclaim and the attention simply because they are white. And this particular artist, her name is Azealia Banks, and she was pointing out the example of Iggy Azalea, and about how the woman basically took her name, and this is a woman from Australia, from what I understand, and she is basically just a modern day minstrel. Here she is, a woman from Australia, trying to speak with a country, southern drawl, trying to act like she's a black person. She's from Australia. They don't talk like that in Australia. But she's able to pimp our culture and get all the fame and attention and fortune based on the fact that she's white. She's like a modern day Elvis. And then we have the example of Black Lamar. They won some awards a few years ago. And it's like, these are like signs of the end of this hip hop thing. Years ago, Nas had a song entitled Hip Hop is Dead, talking about the destruction of hip hop, how it's no longer real. And anytime you have these subpar white artists receiving all the fame and the attention and, the accolades and the awards, when they're better artists that are just being like pushed aside and disregarded, that's when it's clear that this hip hop form of art is dead. That it has become like a commodity, that the people who invented it are being taken for granted. It turns out that eventually we may get to the point where people may think that hip hop was created by white people. That's how bad things are. You have these companies, that are run by primarily white men. They are the ones deciding the direction of our culture. Again, hip hop is being used as a weapon against us. And if we are to, empower ourselves, we need to take control of our own culture and use it as a weapon for our liberation. We need to encourage artists that put out positive messages. That's what we need to do. We need to take back our culture.